everyone. It is truly an honor to be here with all of you today. My name is Molly Tobin. I may have no title, no platform, or position of authority like all the other speakers around me today. But the one thing I do have is a voice that I hope can not only speak for myself, but the millions of others facing the immediate effects of the overturn of Roe v. Wade. If I've learned anything in the past week, it's that the world can be a cruel place. The type of cruel that hurts your heart to an unbearable extent. The overturn of Roe v. Wade is not just about abortion. It's about my own life being put at risk. Today, I choose to be vulnerable and share my own story for the sake of all those affected by the court decision. At 3 days old, I was diagnosed with hypoplastic left heart syndrome, a rare birth defect where the left side of my heart was too underdeveloped to perform. Along with my diagnosis, my parents learned to expect limited physical activity in my future. Totaling up to 25 hours in the operating room before my second birthday, my entire heart was rewired, leaving only the right side able to pump blood throughout the rest of my body. My entire childhood, I remained unfazed by my condition, oblivious to the circumstances it entailed. Up until this point, I've been fortunate enough not to be restricted physically by my condition. Only attendance scars show for it. However, in this past week, a new reality has presented itself. On June 21st, 3 days prior to Roe being overturned, I learned that the possibility of carrying my own child to term would kill me. I've learned how fragile my heart truly is. I've learned how quickly the life you planned in your head can be torn away from you. And finally, I've learned how insubstantial my rights as a woman in this country truly are. In the span of 3 days, I lost a family I've pictured in my head since I was a little girl, and I lost the one thing that just might save my own life, an abortion. It is not my first choice, rather the only choice I have. The preventative measures offered are not compatible with all health conditions. In my case, potential side effects, birth control, are blood clots in my heart. So I asked myself today, what options am I left with? I've struggled to come to terms with the fact that I probably won't ever be able to carry my own child unless I want to make the ultimate sacrifice and lose my own life. We live in a state where abortion is still legal for now, and for that, I feel truly privileged. Privileged at 18 years old not to have to choose whether to die or hire an attorney, go before a judge, and beg for my own life. As a woman in America, I am insulted how easily my rights have become a privilege. Roe v. Wade was not solely based on abortion, but entailed the fundamental right to be treated as a human being in this country. And as a human being, I've never felt less than I do today. No matter what happens from here on out, women, girls, and people with reproductive systems everywhere will continue to live with the trauma of knowing that this country has and will continue to take our rights away. I share my story and hope to educate those who are privileged enough not to have to deal with the consequences of this decision. It's not just about abortion, and those who have yet to realize that will very soon. The overturning of Roe isn't about life, because if it was, my own and millions of others wouldn't be at risk right now. 3 open heart surgeries later, and I'm still standing here today. And I will not stand by and let lawmakers politicize the fight for my life. The decision to share my story was not an easy one to make, but a necessary one. Because they will not stop at Roe. They will not stop until their personal beliefs have been forcefully imposed on every citizen in this country. That is not the land of the free. Because freedom entails freedom of choice. The hardest decision a woman will ever have to make is not one of lawmakers. Women will die. And the court has made it abundantly clear that they do not value life, they value power. I am angry, I am let down, and I'm saddened that this country trusts women so little that I am only left with one option. I will not be silent, not today, not tomorrow, or ever. You may not like abortion, and that opinion is completely valid, because it is your choice not to get one. However, what is not okay is restricting life-saving resources to people across this country. The word healthcare is widely accepted as any effort made to maintain or restore physical, mental, or emotional well-being. The Supreme Court has shown all women in America that the only thing they care to maintain is power. The power to diminish women as human beings, the power to define what is and is not healthcare, and the power to decide how my story is going to end.
So the last week has been a very busy and hectic time on our helpline. Since the court's decision came down, we've supported double the amount of people based in Wisconsin that we normally see, where, as the AG mentioned, there's currently no accessible abortion care due to a pre-Roe abortion ban that's in the process of being challenged, but that is an uphill battle. The second that Roe fell and clinics were forced to close their doors, we received an email and resources from our partners at Women's Medical Fund in Wisconsin, and we got to work supporting Wisconsinites traveling across state lines to get the care that they needed. And that's just one testament to the way that a network of abortion funds across the country is working together to make sure people get the care that they need. As bans and restrictions and closures continue to come down, we're standing by people until they get the abortion care that they need. One caller from Kentucky, where there was an immediate trigger ban, already needed to leave their state to make an appointment in Ohio. But when the 6-week ban in Ohio dropped, their appointment was canceled at the last minute. They had to scramble to find an appointment here in Illinois, and we supported them because they had even less money to put towards care than before as they made these travel arrangements.
The president, in his very emotional and heartfelt speech after the Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, ended by saying, this decision is not final. This decision is not final. And he looked out into the crowd and he said, you have the final word, talking to all Americans. And we can begin that and make great progress. In November, at the election, we need to get people out to vote. They need to make decisions based on who is for fundamental rights and who is not when they make that vote. And if we have that majority in the Senate as well as in the House, we, as a Congress of the United States of America, could restore reproductive rights. The President of the United States would sign such a law, and we could begin again. And so this ruling that puts so many people, millions and millions of people, in danger. Everyone here is doing their most to meet the needs, but every person who has the right to vote can also make that contribution to changing the way things are.
We as an office have been acting in a sort of post-Roe capacity prior to the Dobbs decision. If you look at the statistics from 2017, where I think 5,500 women came into the state of Illinois. In 2019, it increased to 7,500, and close to 10,000 the last in 2020. It reflects a trend that is going to spike up exponentially now that the Dobbs decision has come down, and now that we're in a situation, the term safe haven has been used, the term oasis has been used, and those are accurate terms because of what is reflected in the states immediately surrounding the state of Illinois.
So much of what we're hearing in the states around us are about our Supreme Court, so I'm just going to start by reminding everyone, abortion is legal in Illinois right now. If you have an appointment, keep it. If you're thinking about making one, make it. But it's only as strong as the next election.
If Roe no longer holds, the right to contraception is next. Similarly, constitutional rights for LGBTQ people in this country came from cases that followed Roe, and marriage equality and and similar LGBTQ rights are next on the chopping block. Justice Thomas wrote a concurring opinion in Dobbs, making no secret of the fact that he thinks there is no constitutional protection for these other rights. Even if people don't think that abortion is an issue that touches them, I think we should all be concerned about the government's ability to intrude into these most private areas of our lives, who we love, who we marry, and decisions about what our families look like.
We are in a marathon. We're not in a sprint. And the marathon may start with a special session next week where we get out of the starting gate and we get a jump on things, right? And we demonstrate that we are taking action to protect folks here. But there will be ongoing work. And there may be work in the fall, and there's going to be work next year. And the work around this is about several different areas that will be really important on those practical solutions that actually make a difference. First, we need to look at expanding that provider pool, making sure it's not a big barrier for a provider from another state to come in here and start providing care. We want to make sure that we look at who's providing the services, which includes looking at our advanced practice clinicians like nurse practitioners who already are prescribing medication abortion and in other states are performing certain procedures. We can do that here in Illinois. We need to protect providers, which has been mentioned already, and make sure that if they have concerns about their licenses in other states or discipline or things like that, that we're exploring how to protect them. And lastly, and most importantly, coming from a provider perspective, is the resources that are needed to make sure people have access to care. There's been a lot of discussion in the last few days about our rights, but a right is meaningless if you cannot actually exercise it and access it.